Seed in our homeland, boys, let it grow where all can see. Feed it with our devotion, boys, call it the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Save it from the storm, boys, water down its roots with tea. And the sun will always shine on the old Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. March along with the piper, boys, we were born forever free. Let's go pay the piper, boys, beneath the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys, always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys, fight for the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Stand for the rights of man, boys, stand against all tyranny. Hang the lance of freedom, boys, high on the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. It will grow as we grow, boys, it will be as strong as we. We must cling to our faith, boys, faith in the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty.
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MaineMilitary.com carries everything you need. Gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MaineMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MaineMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need, all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at MaineMilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
Join Mark and Don for Weapons Wednesday, where you'll learn how to use everything from your bare hands to your average AR-15.
The 12-gauge autoloader,
Sure.
the 45 long slide
Yep.
with laser sighting,
You betcha.
the Uzi 9mm,
Yes, sir.
phased plasma rifle in a 40-watt range.
What are you, crazy?
Wrong.
Okay. They'll talk about that too. So whatever question you have about whatever weapon you have, call Mark and Don on Weapons Wednesday. And remember, your mind is your first best weapon.
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun, permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper, so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm, so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm, and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores, and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you will fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand. Defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now, as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
Alrighty, here we go. And it is time for the intelligence report here on Libertytreeradio. I'm at the AK-47. Just waiting to see if Mark will show up here on the line real quick. I'm aware that he is not necessarily where you can get to a phone right now. They're moving some equipment around, and really nice piece of equipment too. I've seen the picture. My brother sent it to me. One of the shops is getting a very nice new toy to play with. Anyway, well, newer I should say. It's used, but still, it's a very nice piece of equipment. I can imagine what that's going to be used to me. Anyway, we are up live. It is time for the intelligence report, but as I said, Mark is indisposed right now. He's okay. Know what he's doing. Just in the middle of moving something. So, let's see. Doesn't look like he's necessarily going to be back right away. I was going to try and, replay off of one of our hours from the other day. I'm gonna see if we can use YouTube for this. I have not tried to do a relay off of YouTube, or rebroadcast off of YouTube yet. I have been told the audio is better over there. I stream it out there. I have not listened to it to hear it back to see how it sounds. So let's see if we can get it roughly to the end of Visitor from the Past, and then we will kick in And I will let Mark know that whenever he's done, he just has to give me a buzz and let me know that he's going to be coming up live. Ooh, that's kind of low. That's really kind of low, but I bet you Mark's audio is going to be booming when we get to it. Not quite. It's soft, guys. You need to let me know about stuff like that. That way I can fix it. I'll see if I can boost the audio up for the YouTube videos from now on, because that is kind of soft. Alright, here we go. We're going to a rebroadcast. This is from July 7th for the first hour of the intelligence report. I think it's the 8 p.m. hour. We'll be up live as soon as Mark's done with what he's doing. So stay tuned. It's the intelligence report.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the evening intelligence report. I'm Mark Cornke.
I'm Larry Lawson.
One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, southwest, east, northeast, and central. Ladies and gentlemen, you were listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, IndianaFreedomTalkRadio.com in memoriam. We miss you, Spike. We're also on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and UltraNet, Hallmark, and Golden Spike Technologies east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon and evening to all of our friends out there in lower 49, including the great state of Jefferson, way out there, 3 hours behind us, and the rest of the country, CONUS, of course, most of it into the evening hours now, along with the two outlying states, the two territories, and the clock. 8:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Larry, it's been hot. It's classic Michigan summer, and of course, American summer, because it is. What's the date today? What's it like in your neck of the woods down there in the, middle of the original West? We now call it the Midwest. Go ahead.
7/7/2020 is the date. And, we have a communist president working with a communist enemy, Israel, working for a communist takeover of the United States of America. And right now we have many people ramping up more propaganda on the COVID-19 farce. How do you know it's a farce? Simple. Go back and look at Event 201, where in October they simulated this exact scenario and killed off 67 million people. And demented Donnie Epstein guilty Trump has put Bill and Melinda Gates' people in charge. So the buck stops with him, no matter how many ways he points his finger at somebody else. He's the one that put these bozos in charge. He's the one that's allowed this country to be shut down. Now he's mouthing off about his son-in-law, like, gee, I'm tired of all his mistakes and everything. Really? You're the clown that put him in charge. You're the clown that put Elliot Abrams in charge. You're the clown that put John Bolton in charge. You're the clown that put Esper in charge. You're the clown that put the homosexual Zionist that's now the head of our security in charge. The one that went after Julian Assange. You're deep state garbage, Trump. You met your wife at Mossad pimp Ghislaine Maxwell's Kit Kat Club in New York. You're as Epstein guilty as the Clintons that you pretend to be different from. All for our enemy, the parasite, 9/11 murdering, Epstein raping, blackmailing, USS Liberty murdering, ISIS Israel. Does everybody get that? This is our enemy. He's our fifth column traitor within this country doing their bidding. So there's no doubt about it. He needs to hang next to the Clintons, next to the Bushes, all these clowns dating back to when they killed Kennedy. That is the deep state, folks. That's the ultimate deep state, killing your president back in 1963. You know, whether it was a 4-seater car or a 6-seater car, the deep state did that. So We haven't had a decent one since. They put Johnson in charge, who immediately rescinded Kennedy's executive orders on the Federal Reserve and other things, and allowed Israel to go forward with its nuclear ambitions. That's Johnson, that piece of trash. So we have nothing but garbage since. We had a hope with Reagan until he put Daddy Bush in there, same deep state garbage. So none of this should be a surprise what's going on. We were not given a choice in 2016. Now look at the ridiculous choice that we have in 2020. Really? That's a choice? Between a Alzheimer brain-addled Biden, creepy Joe who grabs little girls in public, or demented Donnie Trump who grabs girls in private. 13-year-old girls in rape cases that are pending, and he rewarded Alex Acosta for giving Jeffrey Epstein that kid glove treatment down there in Florida. He's the same garbage that we've always had, and they don't care which one you put in, the agenda goes forward. You get a lot of Q-tards out there that think that he's going after the pedophiles. Really? He is the pedophile. They are the pedophiles. He's partying with the Clintons and the Epsteins and the Weinsteins and the rest of them. He's partied with the Zionists all his life. Those are the ones that are running the show. Those are the ones that ran Epstein. Those are the ones that control the FBI and the NSA and the rest of the alphabet groups. They work together in tandem. They want more war and more surveillance. That's their goal. That's what they're getting. That's what Trump's pushing. So there's no choice. I'm not going to vote for the piece of garbage. Absolutely not. It's a joke. It's a joke on us. Go back and look what George Carlin told you about all that. Everything he said was true. It's the American dream because you got to be asleep to believe it. So there's that. The economy continues to go down. Food continues to disappear off the shelves. We continue to shut down farms and meat-producing plants. None of that is getting any better. It's continuing to get worse. You want details on that, get online and go to YouTube Ice Age Farmer, channel Ice Age Farmer, and listen to what that guy has to say. That's what he's specializing in, and that's what he's warning people about. Ice Age Farmer on YouTube. So, and they are pushing war with Iran. They are pushing war with China, and they're kind of pushing war with Russia. The things that we're doing in Syria, going over there and grabbing their oil, setting fire to their wheat fields. Now, supposedly, we're getting ready to grab Iranian oil tankers that are bound from Venezuela. Really? Trump needs a bullet in his head, and it needs to be televised on national television. He needs to be executed in front of this nation for the edification of the American people. Period. He's a traitor.
Well, the one thing that gets me about interfering with commerce with other countries is that's not privateering, that's flat-out piracy. There's no declaration of war between any of these parties. So if you're going out in the high seas and you're stealing or grabbing somebody's ship in open waters, see, it's one thing to be in the Persian Gulf. If you start doing the math, there's only a sliver of water in the middle there that's actually navigable for international use, and it's barely that. Traditionally, we didn't put fighting ships in the Persian Gulf. They used to call it the Coke bottle. It's the last place you put a fighting ship. So anytime we put a fighting ship there, it's to sacrifice it. See if we can get it sunk. That's the purpose. Otherwise, we don't mess with them. They're not supposed to mess with you. But, of course, if you keep coming over into their waters, we would do the same thing, by the way. You're peeing in somebody else's pool. Why are you there? Oh, stirring the pot? Now, when you attack a boat on the high seas somewhere else, that's called piracy. That's just flat-out piracy. And I don't care how fluffed up you are. I'm a hawk. I am no chicken hawk. I'm a hawk. But when it comes to that kind of BS, I don't go along with anyone on that nonsense. You want to declare war? I have no problem. You want to go declare war? You declare war. And then let's see what happens. But you're in peacetime. You are in a situation where you have no legitimate excuse whatsoever for your action. None that you can stand on. None that is acceptable. Just that simple. So, real quick on that. Larry, before we go any farther, I wanted to fit this in here real quick. Guys, From the Trenches, WorldReport.com. Great little video that was posted over there at FromTheTrenches, WorldReport.com. Go down through the scroll. Eastern Woodland Trees and Their Uses. It's over on YouTube also, of course, but there's a link at FromTheTrenchesWorldReport.com. I want you to look at that because there are some phenomenal things there in one little woodcraft piece that's less than half an hour long. Pay attention and memorize what you see there. Now, also understand that we have some hellacious trees that we've brought over from another part of the planet. A couple of them actually are part of the old bocage. And you actually picture one of these, and I've tried to explain to people what they do. I have 4 of them that are fully mature. Any place where you cut this, it's one of the locust, I'm pretty sure, of the locust family. But it is a monster in that if you cut it or damage it in any way, it grows multiple spines upon spines wherever you score it. Now, woodcrafters know how to do this, or landscape masters. And when you hear the term impenetrable hedge, this is the foundation for what they're talking about. When you hear about, like, Larry, you know about grim fairy tales, right? They're really grim, yeah. Guys, the real descriptions that you see there are not mythical or fiction of some kind. There are literally, with the process of sculpting the plants available, you can make things that make barbed wire seem like a pleasurable experience. What's fascinating is, of course, these particular types of locust, they grow a spike up to 6-7 inches long, and it's segmented. So here's one of the things. It's like breaking off a pencil in your body. Naturally will separate and will fracture internally. Talk about a plant against animal defense mechanism. And what's interesting about it is if the tree, if you want to create or promote the spikes we're talking about, you go along and score the outer part of the tree and peel back like about, let's say a pencil width worth of material. And in the next season, through the season, the tree will grow the spikes to defend itself. And there is an excellent image of what I've talked about for years as the header / the promotional image for this video. It's Eastern Woodland Trees and Their Uses, 1, the numeral 1. It was posted in 2013. It's on the David Canterbury page. But there's a lot of other information here, medicinal, manufacturing, all the things that you need to know real quick if you're out there and you're doing basic woodcraft, literally woodcraft. But remember, some of this is flat-out weaponry. You can do any number of things with the spikes. Traditionally, they were even used to make a very coarse, needle, especially for leather work. So like an awl. So something to think about there. But definitely worth watching. 25 minutes and 39 seconds long. Eastern Woodland Trees and Their Uses, 1. It's over at FromTheTrenchesWorldReport.com, and of course it's on YouTube. So you can go to the link and then benchmark it that way, through From the Trenches, or you can go over to YouTube. Take your pick. I go over to From the Trenches. Give them a thumbs up.
Well, locust is a wicked plant. I don't know about it breaking off inside you, but even if you get stuck by one of the smaller thorns, that thing will hurt for quite a while. I don't know if there's resin in it or what the deal is, but that's a wicked plant.
Yeah, this is where you always see, remember when Sleeping Beauty, and there was this impenetrable hedge that grew up. Well, guys, they're not joking. This is part of what made up that hedge, which could be as deep as you want to grow it, and purely a matter of, again, naturally occurring breakage promotes the same thing. Competition between plants. This happens as they grow. Well, guess what? If the other plant has spikes, the lesser plant doesn't, and guess what wins? Kind of pokey stabby's back, pushes away. Plus, it also negates animal nibbling. Example, if deer nibble on the bark or the tree or the base or around the younger tree, any place where they serrate the bark is where it grows a cluster. I'm not talking one spike. We're talking a cluster. It's really, I don't even know what the formula is. They're so numerous that it's just spike next to 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 spike. Literally a pencil lead thickness or greater. And again, anywhere from 3 to 4 to 6 inches long, depending on maturity. So go check this out. You'll see the image as the icon image for the page. In fact, it's the image that goes along with the title block, the title cube. And it's exactly what I have growing out back here, or actually to the side, to the north. Anybody runs into it, you'll know it. When they try to hide near these trees, guys, when you look at that image, you'll see why you can't hide near those trees. You can't go up and snuggle next to the trunk. If you do, you'll be pinned there. If somebody were really wicked and shoved you into them, you're stapled. It's just, I mean, literally, physically stapled to that tree. That's what would happen. So, just a heads up. I wanted to mention that because you guys can take the time and track them down and plug them in. And that is at FromTheTrenchesWorldReport.com. Go down through the scroll. You'll find it there over on Henry's page too. Let's see. Another thing real quick on what you were talking about. Now, remember, we've got a little rat that's been picked up, but, the only thing everybody is talking about, they're not going, oh, right, everybody's going to be arrested. No, everybody's betting on what way she's going to die. Have you noticed that, Larry? The conversation keeps coming back to, I wonder how they're going to kill her. Is she going to have coronavirus? Is she going to be killed by another inmate? Is she going to have a horrible, horrible heart attack? Is she going to, execute herself? Which way are they going to kill this one?
Well, I'm sure they've already procured her body double like they did with Jeffy Epstein, so I'm sure we'll be seeing the Ghislaine didn't kill herself memes pretty soon.
Right, she's going to the island. I had to bring it up because most everybody forgets that movie. Guys, have you ever watched or do you remember The Island? I've noticed that even when you do a search on YouTube, that or for that matter, do it on Google and look to see how little shows up. They do not want you to think about that. As much as anything with that movie, it's the idea that they're cloning, exact copies of people for body harvesting. But it's the idea that take the clone issue out, they're already doing body harvesting, and then what you saw there is exactly what China has been doing. Except the part about going to the island. Instead, it's they're just reeling in for the buzzsaw. Hold still. This is going to hurt a lot.
Mark.
So go ahead, caller. Jump in there.
Shelby from Oklahoma City. Talking on that same line as debating how she will die. They could easily pull a false flag to distract us from that. Just, I guess, this week or the last couple of days, the U.S. fleet, the 2 aircraft carriers just arrived in the South China Sea, and it got me thinking. So I looked up, one of the aircraft carriers is the oldest serving aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, which was commissioned in 1975, would be easily to sacrifice and take out, since it's the oldest carrier in the fleet, to start the war with China.
It's cheaper to get it sunk than it is to scrap it because it's nuclear. Everybody forgets that. We don't have anything left, but we don't have any except in reserve, and I don't know how long before they'll chop those up. But the only thing we have are nuclear subs and nuclear carriers. Well, guys, if it's a nuclear carrier, you have to treat that ship just like you do a nuclear submarine. Do you know what we have to go through to scrap a nuclear submarine? Do you know what it's going to be like to start scrapping nuclear aircraft carriers? Because you don't do the same policy. It's not the same policy, guys. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's got to be buried when they're done. And it's not like an aircraft carrier where they can take that nice little sausage section and just take the whole thing and encapsulate it in that and then take and bury it in the mountains, so to speak. They're still going to bury it, but they got a lot more work. On the other hand, if they get the Chinese to, cooperate and sink a couple of those, especially an older one, well, it kind of self-scrapping. Of course, it's not great for the fish, but who knows? Maybe we'll end up with more three-eyed fish like in The Simpsons. They're healthy to eat, right? After all, Burns said so. So, yeah, that's as likely as not. That's the identifier. It used to be if it was like the diesel carriers were sent in, especially be like, yep, there's a crosshair on something. Now, as far as I know, all the diesels, all the bunker oils are out. They quietly pushed the last one out of service, and they're all docked, but don't know that they've cut any more of them up. They've just kind of let them sit there. So it's the nukes or nothing is what we got now. So that's what would be going down if it gets sunk. And everybody can then murmurate and gnash of teeth and run of hair over that problem wherever they go down. So we'll see what happens. Anything else? Please jump in there.
No, that was it. I just noticed that they arrived in the South China Sea, and of course India and China have got their border conflict thing going on here this past month. So,
have you read any of that? Have you read the actual accounts of what happened?
No, I have not. I mean, I saw a part where they were throwing sticks and stones at each other.
They didn't shoot at each other. This was gladiatorial old earth battle axes and broadswords. In fact, a majority of them died when one group pushed the other over a precipice into a river, and either the fall got them or the cold killed them. But we're talking not a few dead, and guys, they started out with some lieutenant apparently in charge of one unit, and some major or captain in charge of the other, and they start going at each other hand to hand. And then apparently at some point some Chinese general showed up and from the heights above cheered on his men to fight even harder and go after those Indians. And so this escalated from one tier to the next, but guys, nobody fired a shot. It was all hand-to-hand fighting. This is the 21st century, and two of the biggest armies on the planet, at least top-wise for numbers, just went at each other with, like you just said, rocks, clubs, bludgeons, whatever they had they could kill each other with that was close quarter. But not with guns. This is the 21st century. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. I'll do a Bill Clinton. Oh, wow. So, figure that one out. I thought that was fascinating in and of itself. That tells you. But the image of the Chinese general over on the other ridge cheering his men on, but not getting involved in the fight. Not very, let's just say, Mongolian of him. If he was a Mongol hordes, he would be leading from the front, but instead he was cheering from the rear. Yeah, that's right, guys. Give him a swing. Swing to the left. Push him over the cliff. Yeah, oh, God, they're pushing you over the cliff. Well, maybe I should step back and go to the other ridge. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 ridges back. Yeah, I might be the guy in charge, but I don't plan on being the guy going over the cliff for the rest. Yeah, see how that works. So for everybody, if you haven't seen any of the accounts, you want to go track that down. First time I read it, it's like, oh, okay, well, they've gone at each other before with small arms. And this time around, again, that last time they did that with small arms was, by the way, in the 20th century. We've advanced to sticks and clubs in the 21st century. Be impressed. Be very impressed. And then realize what that really means. So, not exactly cool. Another thing here real quick, and I know, okay, as a matter of fact, guns and gadgets, we haven't mentioned the last couple of days here, but we should, and I didn't this afternoon. Guys, go over and to Guns and Gadgets on YouTube, and give them the thumbs up on the last 3 pieces. There's a number of different activities going on. There's all kinds of anti-gun stuff going on all over the place. Like was just mentioned with the pickle, smoke, and mirrors thing about getting rid of a certain female that's now been picked up by the government. Or let's say if you want to make he, she, it disappear, can't be for sure that that's a she. Could be just one of those other cross-dressers. There are so many in our government, right? And or attached to the people in our government, and or attached sickeningly in strange ways to the people in our government. Ew, yuck, that stinks. Anyway, what's interesting is, again, the attacks are virtually at every point of the compass right now, or the gun issues that are popping up. So guns and gadgets, take the time. It'll bring you up to speed. I'm pretty sure he just posted another piece here in the last, I think, 2 hours. I could be wrong, but I just got a notice on it. I just didn't get a chance to watch it. So you guys will be up there watching, observing before I am. But take advantage, and please take the time to subscribe to the channel. It is Guns and Gadgets, the N symbol, Guns and Gadgets. Give him a thumbs up for all of his videos, and that helps the algorithm, hopefully, at least one way or another, you're showing support for him, even if you don't donate anything. We're almost to the bottom here. And,
hey, Bert?
Go ahead, Colin. Jump in there.
Yeah, I'm looking at Guns and Gadgets. I just showed up something called Stop Home Manufacture of Ghost Guns. Posted sometime today, I think.
Yep, that's one of the next things that they're pushing is to go after the which by the way is the same as the Volstead Act in that they don't talk about it. Personal manufacture of alcohol, personal manufacture of anything cannot be hindered or should not be hampered per the body of the law of the land. It's for personal consumption. It does not qualify for a tax stamp, okay? And that's what they're trying to avoid talking about while they do this. But you're so far around, these communists are so far around the corner, like I said, we're just going to have to shoot their ass out of here. Conversation is pretty much irrelevant, and I can't see this thing going anywhere. I mean, the only way it's going to go anywhere positive is we're going to end up going into a conflict that is physical. We have to. It's just all there is to it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was looking at something that scrolled through my stuff today, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I mean, you talk about the pieces falling in together. I was reading something that said that Epstein's girlfriend, the one that's been arrested, is also Fauci's. Her sister is Fauci's wife.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, number one, this thing is, well, you know how this is. Number one, you've got an entire infrastructure, and it's a combination of whatever generation is there, but it's multi-generational. She didn't just walk into this randomly. Okay, they're one way or another. They're like the issue with regard to royalty. There has to be conductive/connective tissue. And it's not just from this generation. This is overlapping with a bunch of other activities from different elements. Again, the Jewish mafia from one direction, the monarchists from another. They have constantly been in business with each other, even when they've been at odds to a certain degree, which is something everybody tends to forget. Like I said, read Ivanhoe. Read it. Read the book Ivanhoe. Don't watch the movie. Ignore it. They've even made some BS modern miniseries. Oh, that's totally Jewish mafia-fied. What you want to read is the book, because the book is from the angle and intent of the author. It's kind of like the difference between reading Starship Troopers, the actual book by Robert Heinlein, the story, and then watching the movie and understand everywhere they could, they flipped everything on its ear. Intentionally, because Hollywood was doing it, and Heinlein himself would never have sold the storyline to Hollywood. You have to wait till these authors are dead. It's like Tolkien. Tolkien wouldn't sell anything to Hollywood because he knew how they'd butcher it. And lo and behold, if you read the book and then watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. So the same is true with regard to anything else that we're seeing right now. These characters are deep in history. I think that again, this is only bleeding out the way it is because only one of them can rule. And if their logic is that there's an opportunity to centralize control, only one faction can rule. And so, go ahead.
And there was also something about, I think she's probably missing Epstein because supposedly she'll probably be over there in Israel with Epstein because supposedly that her and her sister, their father was a Mossad agent.
Well, but of course, the whole group were Mossad, pervert Mossad. I mean, that's I've said from the get-go. That's simply obvious. If you can read the map of Israel on their faces, it's not hard to do. And it won't even say Israel. If you can read the Jewish mafia map on their faces, look at their ears, pay attention to nose and both the jaw and central facial structure, it's not hard to pick them out. It's weird, but it's like I said, Muslims, okay, you call Muslims, in reality, the Arab population. Don't call an Egyptian a Saudi Arabian, or don't call an Egyptian, say, a Syrian. Either side might kill you for that, because there is, they can read the map of the genetics of their culture on each of the races that are in that region. Like one guy will tell you, not only will they tell you by what say nation state, which basically comes back to tribal state, even though there's some overlapping territories that have been taken at one time or another, but they can usually tell you even what village or city they're from. That's what's fascinating to me. I've known a lot of different people from Syria, Jordan, Iraq. I've served with characters, that were from Iraq when we were allies, blah, 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 at the Intel Center, okay, at USAGS. And of course we had Iranian defectors back in the day because of, remember the collapse with the Shah. So we had Iranians that were stuck here that later on they couldn't leave. They couldn't go back home. They'd be dead. But every one of them would tell you the same thing. You say, oh, you guys are all from the Middle East. They go, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa. You're not understanding. That man is Iraqi. I am Iranian. I'm Iranian. Oh, okay. And the difference is, there's a big difference. And if you want to find out, watch the war that's been going on. We are shooting each other. That kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay. So every one of them that's honest. So again, in fact, that's why, like I said, you throw 10 Israelis in the middle of that knot, and everybody would pick out who the Jewish mobsters were in a minute. That's why they don't operate as well as they like to in Jordan. They usually send the Mossad into Jordan, but every once in a while you'll hear about a whole team getting picked off because whole villages are hunting for them. And if they get hold of them, they beat the living crap out of them, and then they sell them back to the Israelis after they've beat the snout out of them to the point where they're basically carpets. So that's the reality of, everybody knows who's who in the zoo and understand full well the background. We need to be as good as that, as adept as that. That's what needs to happen. But, again, not everybody's going to be up to speed. The big thing here, again, is there's other characters that are waiting in the wings that are either probably scrambling already for an LL airliner, or they're, again, they've either exfiltrated through Mexico, gone up to Canada, and then their arse is going over to Israel to plop themselves there so they can't be extradited. Because if they can get out of the U.S., they know exactly where they need to go in order for them to be under the protective radar, the screen, where they still have their wealth, they still have all, the monies they've collected from their blackmails or from their pervert services. And that's why, again, to me, I'm pretty sure, like we've said, Larry, you were just saying, Epstein's alive and well. I think he's sucking pina coladas over on, he's over on a beach in Haifa right now. And I know the government knows it. I know every one of these agencies know it. And they're not going to say a word.
That makes the most sense. I mean, they deliberately put out a photo of a corpse. The corpse had different ears and nose. So that tells you what they were up to. They didn't kill him. He didn't die. Yeah, he's been relocated.
Right. Too much money they had to sign off on. They don't like it when digits are locked up and they can't steal them. You pay a fee. You pay a fee because you screwed up. Think about it this way. Yeah, we'll let you go, but you really screwed up here. Well, what do you mean? Oh, well, we told you how to do things, and you kind of crossed Bob, and you crossed, Blatzenstein here, so, you've got about probably 48 million or maybe 100 and some million, could be even bigger. You're going to have to pay about a 20% tax on that. You'll get to stay where you are, but that kind of goes to the, let's just say, the charity of my choice. And that's how everyone goes, oh, how could they do that? How that's real easy. You know exactly what the dollar wealth of the character is. How much does he have to pay to stay alive? And some people say, we can take it all. Well, that's not good for business because, you see, you might have someone else you want to blackmail like that. If you kill him, nobody's going to want to do business with you. So the thing to do is to show, well, see, now if you cross us, they might kill him later. I mean, they can poison him, do whatever they want, but why do that if they've got him on the leash? And once they've got him over in Israel, or they've got him whatever protective area, I mean, come on, do we think that Epstein Island was the only island they were operating? If there's one that you knew about, it's like we've said a million times. When you go into the bathroom and you turn the light on, there's that old cockroach walking around in a circle because he's missing a leg. When you go out there and step on that one cockroach, are you satisfied that you must have got all the cockroaches in the bathroom? Because the old cockroach couldn't quite move as fast anymore? Is that what you're telling me? Because that's how this world works. There's just, the only thing is, you got to start going down through the real estate list and figure out, well, where would the next one be? If this one was in the Caribbean, is the other one in the Caribbean, or would it be over, say, on Eastern Africa? How about up towards the Canary complex, the Canary Islands? How about over in the Pacific? I mean, after all, remember, we had a guy that was a survivor for 6 years on a desert island and nobody could find him. Remember, Tom Hanks? Well, of course, that wasn't real, but the Pacific is very big. I mean, think about it. How many places? And I even mentioned the west coast of South America. How many of you have been? How many have noticed certain things about the planet? I've mentioned this many times. Have you ever seen the west coast of South Africa? Or forgive me, of South America? Larry? You ever had anybody do a grand tour taking you down the west coast of South America?
I can't recall that at all.
It's totally out of your mind, guys. I want you to think about it. Well, what's on that side of the continent? Peru, Chile. Keep going south. There's more. But I want you to tell me something. Name for me one porting facility in western South America. Name for me a port. Can you do it? No, don't go to your phone and don't go to a map, because you see it right off the bat. I could say Brazil, and at least you'd know about the capital, like Brasilia, but that's not really on the coast. That's, inside the tropical rainforest zone, okay, out in the middle of nowhere. Think about it. There's a whole lot of other places, but the west coast of South America doesn't exist in your mind. Why is that? It's just like, here's another one for you. Name for me 3 of the nation states in northwestern Africa. Oh, I could tell you about, like, for instance, the Congo. Everybody knows about the Congo, the Congo, the Congo, the Congo, the Congo. There's Southwest Africa. There's South Africa, right? You've got Liberia. You should know about that because we made it. And then there's Nigeria. And then there's Niger. And I don't know whether Niger has changed its name again, because it has a couple times, as far as I recall. But name for me, what about the northwestern nation states of Africa? Name any of them for me. Yeah. Ooh, this is bad, isn't it? This is kind of weird. It's kind of like even in the United States. Example, Atlanta. Atlanta right now is raped, killed, pillaged, and burned by the black Ubangi tribes tearing up southern Atlanta. But you don't see jack squat about it, except that right now Trump is talking about, well, if you want help to, re-secure Atlanta, then you need to ask the federal government, and then if the Fed and the National Guard can come in and they can save Atlanta. But wait, you've hardly seen anything in the real controlled news to tell you much of anything about Atlanta. Oh, a few things have bled out, pardon the pun. See, it's not what you hear, it's what, again, you have to ask yourself, why aren't they in the news? Or at least in your mind. I mean, at least something. I mean, why the same places over and over and over and over to keep your mind, your brain has to be kept small planet. You see what I mean? Just like everything else we've talked about here, okay? You've got to compartmentalize, keep it small planet. I'm fascinated. I would point out that, well, you got all those really strange, only can be seen from space locations that are on the western coast of South America, right? Yeah, the Nazca, the Nazca Plains and all of that. Remember, you've seen images of that. But what about the rest of those countries? I mean, there's got to be something there. I would point out, too, that, by the way, the Japanese rule there. You did know that, right? No, not the Chinese, the Japanese. Another reason they don't want you to think about that. You white men, it's evil for you to be colonial. It's evil for you to be out there around the planet, you evil white man, you. But let's point something out. The Japanese are heavy into controlling the western half of South America with Japanese nationals. In South Africa right now, where it was evil to have apartheid, and those evil white people there say the Jews, who of course wanted to kick out the evil white people that were competing with the Jews, who were running the gold and the diamond markets and everything else. So they're killing off
for them to do it.
Yeah, they're killing off the whites now, okay, but here's what's fascinating. Who's moving in right now? Chinese police. You want to look up something interesting? Go look up Chinese police stations opening in South Africa. And are these a diverse crew of whites and blacks and Hispanics? Because we have to be multicultural if you're coming in and being a colonial power. Nope.
Not so much.
They're being a classic colonial power. They're 100% Chinese. By the way, they're lording over the blacks in South Africa. I'm a little confused. I thought that was bad. See how the white man's being played? See how that play in the rube thing works? Like I said, here's the basic rule. You're in competition. You better get good at it. Y'all better start thinking about it. You better step back and think and smell the coffee and figure out, well, if you keep going the way you are, you won't have to worry about your children surviving. You'll be signing their death warrant right now if you don't put up a fight. Y'all better dig your heels in. Get ready to kick some ass. I mean everybody's ass, because this government needs to be gone, as far as I'm concerned. This government, all the things that have happened this last year were brought to you by the central government of these United States. In fact, all these crazy governors couldn't have done anything without Donald Trump signing off on the FEMA directive, which gave everybody their police state powers, right? Now, why? If Donald Trump wants to stop all this, all he has to do is get rid of that emergency war powers FEMA order he signed. You'll notice he's not doing that, is he, Larry?
No, he's pretty much empowering the entire globalist strategy that they've had for all these years. He's the one that put Fauci and Birx in place. He's the one that's put these deep state people in place, like Elliot Abrams and Munchin and, Esper and Bolton. He's put all these people in place. He's continuing the regime change agenda that Obama had. He's continuing to arm and fund ISIS that Obama created and rescue ISIS and use them to attack Syria. I mean, nothing's changed. He's Israeli man here in the U.S. He's fulfilling the deep state agenda, and at the same time, he's got this propaganda arm, the Q-tards, where they say we're going to get Hillary. You just hang on. It's been 3 years. We're going to get her. It's all about optics. We put all these people in place for optics. That's what they say, And these idiots out there believe this garbage. Folks, he's the same crap we've always had.
We're now into the fourth year, guys. We're headed into the fourth year. This is, let's not forget, we're into July now. In fact, what month was it when good old Donald said you would be in jail?
That was November 2015, before the election.
No, I'm talking before that in the debates.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was way before the election date. And everybody was yapping about it. How dare he say that about somebody he's running against? Oh my goodness, how could he say that? Blah, 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 blah. Remember? Well, that's been almost 4 years ago now. And while I'm sure that technically he wasn't really lying to anyone, you should be in jail. Well, yeah, she should be in jail. Anybody? Where is Hillary now? Is she in jail?
Nope, she's mouthing off poised to actually run against him again.
Not so much in jail, but she should be. Oh, and everybody would be there. I mean, for everybody that's got a brain would go, yeah, she should be in jail. But is she in jail? Hell, she's enjoyed almost 4 full years since that little comment was made and nothing's been done. And in the meantime, let's point something out. How many people that were hardcore Donald Trump supporters have gone to jail? That weren't in the clique. In fact, what's his name's wife? Oh, God, come on. I had just rattled it off. Stone. Roger Stone's wife is begging for Trump to exonerate her husband now because they railroaded him and stampeded him right down the road. Now, you've got good old Fiachi there who is, let's read it properly, Dr. Kevorkian. Dr. Kevorkian is still standing up there on the podium after having absolutely lied about everything and anything that we can imagine. How is he still in that job? How could he possibly be in that job? You think about that one, and you explain that one to me. I'd like to hear. I really would. I'd love to hear. Inquiring minds want to know. But on the other hand, a person who absolutely was like one of the many Donald Trump independent mouthpieces that was again, concise, precise. You may not like everything he said, but you got to admit he had a good style. He was well-spoken, and so what happens to him? Oh, they send him to jail. Now, what about all the swamp creatures that are around Trump that are as dirty as the day is long? Did any of them go to jail? Look at the ones sitting up there right now that were standing up there on that podium during the corona beer virus scam. Count how many of them are CFR, Council on Foreign Relations and Trilateralists, and are self-avowed Soviet/or Fabian socialist/global ring knockers. So the proof is in the actions. That's all there is to it. Again, the final actions, look at the body count. And I mean the body count for the people who were the independents that should be in the administration if the administration was what they claimed it to be, and obviously is not. And again, you want to stop all this garbage with Black Lives Matter or with all these states pulling all the garbage they're pulling. First of all, you write off on that War Powers Act scam that you plugged in. But then again, if this is part of the long-term plan to destroy America, as I said, when he did this, what you've got is something they can't back off on because it's the rest of the War Powers Act they could not operate before World War II. They had to back off because they needed us to bleed for them so they could kill off the opposition inside the United States through a mass war while perverting the United States from within. They would like to plug in the same thing right now. Problem, most of the people that they'd want to or expect to see jump in and go overseas, I'm telling everybody not to. And you know what? Ain't no reason to. And, this is why they're also trying to, fiddle you with BS right now. Let's pay attention to this. The discussion about the aircraft carriers going into the South China Sea. Well, they've been moving equipment back and forth for quite some time. But if they play the war card, they have to count on the idea that all of us pro-American people are going to jump in and be those sacrificed stooges who die off by the thousands through mismanagement in the early stages of any war. And in the process, they kill off the pro-patriot, or what do they call them in the FBI? Super patriots that are evil and enemies of the state. Remember, the FBI and the ATF and this government said that super patriots are enemies of the state. So what would the purpose of starting a war be? Well, the logic is we're also supposed to be blind and sheep, and we just scuttle up to their situation and then let ourselves be executed through mismanagement. How about we don't do that? How about we just stand right there and let's see what happens. You start something up, I'm telling everybody the same thing. You don't answer a phone, you don't go near anything, and you all of a sudden can't be found.
Mark.
Why? Because your life is worth something. That's why. And I'm a hawk. Don't you make a mistake, but we fight here. I heard another voice. Caller, jump in there, please. We only got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Quick comment on Shelby from Oklahoma, aircraft carrier. If anybody plays video games, if they remember Battlefield 4, in that storyline, there was an aircraft carrier attacked by the Chinese military that was hit by an anti-ship missile, which China has the hypersonic missiles stationed all around the South China Sea. And the war takes place in 2020 in the game. So the elite always put out the stuff ahead of time, giving us a warning. Battlefield 4 came out, I believe, 5-6 years ago-ish is when the game came out. I might be wrong about that, but that's all I needed to chime in about.
Very good. Appreciate that. Thank you. And again, we are headed towards the top almost, guys. So, the idea is plant seeds, make you think, get the brain juices flowing. And remember, there's a lot of information out there that the bad guys put out to try and create what is part of a subliminal progressive track. They did this before 9/11, and everything was, virtually the writing was on the wall. And the idea is that you were supposed to just accept. In which a lot of people, because they don't want to have to face reality, blindly would just go along with whatever BS was popping up. If we believe the official storyline, at this point in time, the Saudi Arabian Peninsula and Bahrain, along with maybe part of Jordan, should be a big green glass parking lot that irradiates at night and doesn't require any illumination for it to glow. But instead, we attacked, oh, that's right, Afghanistan, and then we attacked Iraq, which had absolutely nothing to do with any of the BS and was a complete lie. Meanwhile, not touching or getting rid of or exterminating any of the people who perpetrated the attack on America on 9/11 by their own official storyline. Which means they're either lying to us or they're lying to us. And guess what? They're lying to us. So are we going to let them pull that on us again? Well, like I said, you let whoever is dumb enough to go along with that BS, you're not defending the country if they get into something. Step back, because I'll read every war we've gotten into. The first batch of people, Korea wasn't any better. We're just going to flood it with whatever cannon fodder we can. One of my uncles hit the ground in Korea. Actually, it was my great uncle, the youngest of my grandpa's brothers. Ended up on the Corky side. Ended up in Korea. How did he show up in Korea? Class A uniform, garrison cap, dress shoes, duffel bag full of basic clothing, no combat gear. That's how he hit Korea to go to combat. And by the way, the supply system was being burned, so basically he's running around in low quarters, kind of scavenging up uniforms off discards and junk that people were throwing away. And then he had to scavenge weapons because, well, they didn't have enough to go around. Well, not in the Korean War. Oh, hell yes, in the Korean War. Just like in World War II. Same scam, different day. UN war, by the way. Don't forget that. So a lot of guys had that happen to them. They got shipped in from another part of the planet, totally ill-prepared, not equipped in any way, shape, or form. I've related a dozen stories from people I've personally known for their experience in being in World War II, all through the first and second years of World War II in the Pacific. So that's what they're planning on trying to do. Get you out there, get you sacrificed, mutilate you up a bit. You survive, oh well. Yeah, you'll have some war stories, but you'll be too busy thinking about the idea you had to stay alive to, well, wait a minute, when you come back, the country doesn't look anything like it did when you left. In fact, it looks alien. That's their plan. That's the Oi Boys' plan for this time around. Same thing they've always done. So let's not go there. Let's get ready to fight right here. And again, we got plenty of creatures they've already created. Imagine this. You go overseas while they're busy rape, kill, pillaging, and burn your neighborhood. And yeah, your family gets wiped out. But you're over there fighting for the Jewish mob because they had to get that thing going to get you killed overseas. Maybe you don't die overseas. You come back and everybody's dead here because all the liberation of black power, it was so wonderful. Yeah. See how that works? So we have got nowhere to go now. With what they're doing right now, there is no place we need to go but right here. We are in the grand competition. You're either going to be the power faction or you're going to be under someone's heel. Now, if you want to be under someone's heel, get away from me. Otherwise, we're going to have to be in the power faction. We are in competition. We are in bold, in-your-face competition for this life. So let's fight and let's win hard. Everybody get squared away. Organize, arm, equip, and train as militia. Set up a 510 program in your area of operation. Make sure that you have more food and munitions. It's going to be hard getting ammo, but there's still ammo out there. You got to look around and shop. It's not one-stop shopping anymore. And with regard to food, hey, don't worry about MREs. They're too expensive for what they are, guys. You can go to Dollar Tree and buy cans made in the U.S. of food. Everything from chicken and dumplings. I just did it the other day. Topped off, I did another kitty litter bucket by, grabbing all the random food, food type main meal cans. So many of the lima beans, a little bit of bacon. So many of the Spam cans, whatever. Fill up a whole kitty litter bucket. Another can ready to go. I hear the music. We are at the top. God bless our republic.
Death eternal to the New World Order.
We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The empire's on the run.
We're on the march both day and night.
Hoorah. Guys, we got a lot of work to do. Larry, thank you for being there, sir.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, guys.
Everybody out there, pay attention. We got more coming up here LTR-wise.
This is a rebroadcast of the intelligence report from the 7th. I'm going to get another one lined up because I was just informed that it won't be here for the second hour either. They're in the middle of moving a piece of equipment and a crane is not cooperating. So, either the crane or the package isn't cooperating. I was sent a picture. Let me see. Oh, yeah, it's not wanting to level. That's fun. That's putting it up and down several times over, hoisting it back up. Okay, well, I'm taking this opportunity to test doing a rebroadcast off of the YouTube feed. So that was 8 o'clock from 7 p.m. I did notice that the audio was a little bit low. Did the best to boost it up on my end here. Now, pick another hour. Let me go. Oh, I gotta go back to the video section and find. Let's see. That was the 7th, right? Today is the 9th. I'm thinking... Oh, I got a puppy dog in the background. Let me know my wife is home. Alright, well, I'm going to grab this one, and we'll play... Oh, let's see, what day is this? July 2nd, 2020. The intelligence report, and I think this is a 2-hour or 1 hour. This is probably another 8 p.m. block. I need to label these guys. I know. I thank everybody who has been helping us get the YouTube thing up and going. Again, we started that to help Daryl Civic. I don't know if Daryl's got... I have not been able to get a hold of Daryl. I will try to get a hold of him tomorrow and see if we can find out if he's gotten some more help. I help him from afar, doing the best I can. But coming up next, here's another rebroadcast of the intelligence report. Stay tuned. Mark is helping manhandle and move a piece of equipment into a shop. So it'll be... Looks like it's going to be a little while. Hopefully he'll be done by 8. It is a big piece of equipment. They're trying to get it to move, and it's not cooperating.
Sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys. Always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys. Fight for the liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old...
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free, and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we hoped you to always keep. The tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free, and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun, permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper, so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm, so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm, and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores, and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand. Defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Evening Intelligence Report. I'm Mark Kornke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, west, southeast, north, and south. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, IndianaFreedomTalkRadio.com in memoriam, and we are on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and UltraNet, Hallmark, and Golden Spike Technologies east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon and evening to all of our friends out there in lower 49, which includes the great state of Jefferson, along with CONUS, and since it's way out there on the left coast, they're still in the afternoon while we're all in evening mode. Also, the outlying two states, the outlying two territories, and more, and the clock. It is 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the bottom of the state of Michigan, and it is Thursday. It is the 2nd of July. It is the 12th year of open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist occupation of America with a K, 2020, Old Earth Calendar, 2020, year of conflict, year of betrayal, and the Dance of Swords. And pow, somebody just passed on an image of one of the Antifa types with a big, long pipe advancing, and a guy with a piece of 2x4, and he just selectively clubbed it like a baby seal, and to the ground it goes. Plop. Oh, man, that one ain't getting back up. You know, it was all fun until everybody started battle axes and broadswords. Wait till we have small arms fire return. Got shot in the leg. You know, remember the guy kept telling her, take cover, take cover. Oh, you didn't know any better. Yeah, we've seen that before. Yeah, I want to say thank you. Anyway, a couple updates. Over in Chelsea, Michigan, on the one hand, people over there as expected, and we're not too far away. The bad guys changed location for their quote-unquote rally-up yet again. They already did one other change-up, switched to another location, thinking they were going to mess with everybody, but pretty much everybody in the area is looking for them, number one. Number two, while they were distracting everybody with the main action over on the north side of town, remember I told you it was kind of quiet on the north side. Good thing is we got a lot of people there. Well, apparently Antifa tried to sneak into the cemetery on the north side and attack some of the monuments there, like we warned everybody. And they got called in by the cops. Cops showed up, either the county or the city police. We're not sure which yet. We know that they were there. Went in and intercepted the problem. Whether or not they did any damage to any of the gravestones or any of the monuments there's a couple of statues. And remember, they're attacking statues, no matter what they are. Angels, could be catfish, could be anything, who knows. But in this case, they trying to do whatever they can to just do damage. They got stopped, and very well, as a matter of fact, to the point where, as it stands, so far everything's been quiet because everything has been compartmentalized and contained. Everybody's been doing a good job of putting the troops in the right place at the right time, and everybody's had eyes and ears to prevent any further destruction so far, but there was an attempt. Now, if you look at Chelsea, where the cemeteries are on the north side of town, out by the railroad tracks, actually, which go straight through the middle of the north side of town, too, that's where they tried to sneak in from, which is kind of interesting because we had kind of discussed keeping an eye on all points of the compass, but pretty well, again, the bulk came in from the south. We'll have a little more detailed information on the movements, if there are any others, or if they try to do anything else at this point in time. Doubt, but we'll see. So we'll let everybody know, and we'll give updates as we go through the hour here. But as it is, everybody that's on the ground in each location is reporting that everything has been forced to remain peaceful because everybody pretty well, now, everybody's got an attitude. They're not going to let anything go any farther. So they'll get jumped on fast. Go ahead, caller. Who do we have?
This is Mike from Ohio. I just watched the opening monologue on Tucker Carlson, and those people in St. Louis with that big mansion just called him. He said the man was all desperate. The wife was sobbing in the background. I guess the people have said that they're going to come back and destroy their house and kill them on the 4th of July, so they called the police. The police said that they refused to help them. They've called all the private security firms they know. None of them will help, and they even called a security firm that had worked for them in the past, and guess what their advice was? Leave your house now, abandon it, and let them have it.
You don't want to say that to me. You mean the cops aren't going to show up, right? And it's going to be a free fire zone, right? Do you know how many wicked, evil, terrible things I could do around a property? I've seen their property. It's perfect for all kinds of wicked deeds, so there'd be nothing but dead stacked everywhere. This is where gasoline, Mr. Gasoline is your friend. I am dead, and propane. Propane's another one. Guys, don't forget the value of propane. I'd let them get within, they can go over the border fence. Got to have them inside the perimeter to justify, and after that, free fire. Like I said, it's a free fire zone. Kill them all. I wouldn't retreat, but, somebody's going to have to step up. The problem is this. They're Democrats, right, Mike? They're Democrats, aren't they?
Yeah, they're Democrats, and last I knew, he at least was a Bernie supporter.
Yeah, and now they're getting, this is what's comical about this. See, all of the commie light, who really weren't commie light, They thought it was funny when the rabid, frothing at the mouth types were attacking, you and me, because their logic was that a mindless, shoe-sized, IQ, knuckle-dragging, cliff ape type of mob is going to have some kind of rationale. And what's fascinating is they're getting, this is what I said about, communism. How did communism come into power? The Jewish mob that's pushing this right now knows exactly who they're sacrificing and what's going on, and they like it. Because the idiot moderates are how communism comes into power if you let it. And so here's the best example. However, I would say, no, wait a minute. Mike, can you go out to the store and buy an AR-15 like right now? Can you walk out to a store, especially right now with the market the way it is, would you be able to run out in a few minutes, grab a gun, and come back?
Nope. I've just been to my store, and all they have is a few muzzle loaders left.
Well, that's better than nothing. However, think about this. The guy with the pink polo shirt, he didn't have to leave the property and go to one of his conservative neighbors and say, I'd like to borrow an AR-15, did he?
No.
I would have to figure that leftist, that toady leftist who believes that, Mike, you should be disarmed and I should be disarmed and that communism should be in power, well, that guy obviously already had a 30-round magazine-fed AR-15 right there inside the door, so to speak, didn't he?
Yep, I guess he thought his big house was worth defending, but yours isn't.
Is he more special than the rest of us? Was he going to turn his guns? This is what I said about, this is what you remember about the useful idiot. They're not even moderate. They're just the Trotskyites. The Trotskyites think they have a deal with the Stalinites. The Stalinists/Stalinites are wicked bastards, and the only thing worse are Fabian socialists, okay? So the Trotskyites are now in the same boat in America with a K as the Trotskyites were at the end of the white-red war going into the big purge. And these characters all thought they had a deal. They weren't going to have to worry, Mike. It was going to be your evil middle-class, white home that was going to be burned down. They were going to sit there and suck their pina coladas and enjoy their little munchy sandwiches, preferably with avocados and vegan, and laugh and look at the smoke in the distance. Because they're special. Because they can say that, we have black friends, and we have, there's always this excuse thing. It doesn't make you nervous if you have black friends or not. They're not going to hear that. Your enemy isn't going to hear anything that you think you might have used as a qualifier. All they want you to do is keep making those qualifiers while they're overrunning your position, raping the kids and the women, and you if they can, because you got a bunch of faggots on the other side, and then murdering everybody and, pillaging the village, and then, of course, they promise to burn the house down.
This guy made his whole career defending the blacks against the police, so the blacks still don't like him, and the police obviously don't like him because he spent his life suing them, so they're not going to help him, so he's just out of luck.
Well, we could offer to defend the place, but there has to be money. And then I have to explain to him, sir, we will come to help you, but we're not standing in front of you. We're standing together to hold the line, just like you did the other day when they showed up. And, sir, we're not going to retreat. In fact, you ever see the movie Starship Trooper? Remember what the one commander said? Everybody fights, nobody quits. You quit, I shoot you. No, wait a minute, I'm hiring you. You're supposed to be the peasant mercenaries that I can hire with my cash. Sir, I'm not a peasant. I can be a little mercenary today, but we're not fighting this alone. This is your home, sir, so your blood has to be right up front with the rest of us. All right. See, there's the problem with this situation. As we said, everybody wants to buy their safety and buy their freedom and, in theory, buy their liberty. And I'm going to tell you all right now what you're seeing. Visions of things to come, only just imagine it on steroids. There is no conversation with a backed-up toilet. Mike, how many times have I said this? You can't have a The only thing you can do is roll up your sleeves and clean out the toilet.
Exactly.
That's all there is to it. And that's where we are. You can't have any conversation with a frothing at the mouth, shoe-size IQ, told they can do no wrong, asshat on the other side. You're going to have to kill them. And that's why this dancing around to me is like, well, you know, there are so many things I'm trying to get done, and I think all of you should be in the same boat, that you're like not spinning the wheels, but it's like you could get this, you need this, and this. We're doing this. Plus, I have to put more irons in the fire because we are escalating. So this is the problem with going to war that everybody has a hard time with. You'll never get enough done. You're always going to be behind. You're going to have to fight with what you got. Congratulations. Even as you're stripping the enemy dead and resupplying, there's more fighting to be done, which consumes what you captured, which means you got to kill more. Plus, you're not going to get all that good junk off of the enemy on the other side, unless, as FEMA has done before, and they proposed with the meeting with FinCEN in Chicago, they arm oh, that's right. I told you, everybody, about this back with American Peril, that they wanted to recruit the gangs for what reason? Because the gangs and the thugs like this already understand regimentation. And that's what this is all about, is being able to take and turn them sideways into the orc hordes, push them at you and consume resources, while they're hardcore or the government troops, who are, by the way, no different as far as being enemies to you. There's no difference between the government troops, cops, and the orcs / the Antifa. They're all the same. When it comes to them looking at you, you're in the way of their power, of their manipulation, of their wealth. And your property is perceived as theirs. So get ready for a showdown. As it is, what do you think, Mike? Should we offer him help? Should we step in?
Well, yeah. I suppose if he showed some goodwill, I have a feeling he's going through a conversion process. It's too late, but
You're saying he's having an epiphany right now? Do you think he's having an epiphany?
If he would admit so, then I'd be willing to help him.
Like I said, you know what? You look like a man who needs to donate a lot of equipment to the militia.
Exactly.
You know what? Here's what you're going to do. We'll come and help you. Here's what I need you to sign off on. And you know what? I'll fight no matter what. We'll kill him with reckless abandon. But you know what? What do you I want you to explain to me, what do you think about your situation now? I'd have to have a sit down, look right in his eyes and go, okay, what do you think's going on here now? Hi, Bob. You know his name's not Bob, but you know how I am about Bob. Hi, Bob. How you doing? Bob, you think maybe you made some stupid life decisions? You think you're riding maybe with the wrong people, Bob? You know, Bob, there's a lot of the people out here might kind of side with you. They liked what you did. But you're going to have a little bit of a reality check here, because, Bob, all those other people that you you figured you were going to hire, like the cops or whatever, or all those people you thought you were buddies with, it's amazing how they went in a catatonic brain fart and don't seem to remember your name and only know the word kill you. In fact, that appears to be your name now on the lips of all of those people you were helping kill you. They want to kill you, Bob. They want to kill you a lot, Bob. And they want to burn everything down and destroy everything you own, Bob. So, Bob, you think maybe you ought to have some kind of reality check here and realization? I'd like to hear you express that, Bob. Now, then I want to hear a heartfelt conversation. Not very long, because I don't want to waste too much of my time. But if I hearing the, yeah, but, it's like, well, Bob, I was thinking about sticking around, but, Bob, if you're doing the yeah, but, and you're in this situation now, I don't think I want to be around when, during the attack, you all of a sudden defecate your spine out your ass like a meat xylophone, and we end up standing here sucking vapors, and you'll try to claim that we were never invited. See, I can picture all the things that could happen with a leftist turd. But we'll see. Although, like you said, kind of late to have an epiphany, isn't it?
It would seem so. I think even if he wanted to buy another AR-15 for his wife, he'd have a hard time finding one, even with all that money.
Yeah, well, the only thing I would say is this. Now, that's one thing I will say about lawyers. Okay, that lawyer, especially that kind, I've known a lot of lawyers of that kind. Let me point something out. Some of the most scurrilous and most rabidly liberal like this have hundreds of guns. Why do you think they have hundreds of guns? Who are they protecting? What do you think that person or those people have to make in the way of payment for, say, a rather steep legal bill? And you know what's funny? A lot of the guns he probably has, I'd be willing to bet they really are kind of, oh, that burns my hand. What did you do? Yeah, it's a little hot, but, it slid sideways to another homie fry buddy that maybe he's doing business with. This is stuff that most people don't realize. See, lawyers are like doctors used to be. They'll take a lot of different things in payment. Property, houses, land, of any kind, valuable goods. Boy, I got 3 big screen televisions I just happen to have as extras. Really? Most people don't have but 1 big screen television, but you just happen to have 3 that you can pay that lawyer's bill with. I wonder where those 3 brand new in-the-box televisions came from. Oh, we don't need to ask any questions. The lawyer has a big garage. Those 3 extra televisions can go in there for now, until there's some other wheeling and dealing to be done. Well, like for another pile of guns. So just a little heads up there. Remember, but like you said, if he didn't plan ahead, let's just say that maybe he was a little softer than the average bear, maybe a little more, hyper-liberal. Well, if that's the case, then, yeah, like you said, going out and getting another gun right now, hey, you could tell him where to get one of those muzzle loaders down the street by you, right?
Yeah.
Now, remember, dear, after you drop the powder in the shot, you have to hit it with a ramrod a couple times, spin it around and get that cap on real fast. We should get 3 rounds in a minute. You get motivated. Gonna have to practice a little, though. So otherwise, again, they're saying 4th of July weekend. Well, guess what? This is the 2nd. We're headed towards Friday. He doesn't really have a whole lot of time to find a mercenary force, does he?
No, I'm surprised even all the private companies turned him down, because I figured that, obviously they're in it for money, so you'd think money would talk, but I guess even they don't want to be demonized on the national TV for doing their job.
Oh, you know what I would do? I'd be camouflaged. Now, let me ask you, Mike. Guys, all of you listening out there, if you were going to protect him, how would you camouflage yourself? What would you do? How about black hoodies, BLM, on every one of your sweaters, and blackface? Who's going to know at night? They're coming at night mostly anyway. But you're going to be wearing, you can wear the usual, in fact, get PLO, Palestinian scarves to do your face. You're wearing a hoodie. You're going to wear gloves. You got your tactical gear, everything's going to be black. And when they come in, the only thing you'll be hearing is, what are you side with him for? And then you get into if they do actually get in a conversation, I don't think they will. I think it'll be like the movie Tobruk. Or, let's see, Khartoum. Remember with Charlton Heston when the Muslim horde is coming through the building? It'll be kind of like that. But if there was a conversation, it would be kind of fun to listen, to create. Because I know this man. This man, he take care of me and my family for all these years. You people don't know anything. He's a black man. He's a black man at heart. He's a black man, I'll tell you. His wife is a black woman. So I know she's blonde hair, blue-eyed, and pasty skin. But she's a black woman, too, just like you are. Black lives matter. Black lives matter, man. So I got to take care of these black people, these black cousins. And blah, 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 blah. Remember, you got to think about this. That sounds weird. You got to remember what Monty Python said. So all the stuff they did weird years ago is normal. It's like these are idiots take themselves seriously. So you've got to understand that there's no rationale to your conversation, but you got to keep marking. Seriously. Now, that would be one camo. Here's the other one, Mike, that'd really be fun. I would go get a bunch of yarmulkes. I would go get a bunch of schnozzes. I would make sure that everyone, listen, I'm telling you. And then we'd be doing the rumor about how the Mossad is taking care of their boy. And get it out on the street tonight. That apparently, with the connections he has with the rabbis over in Minneapolis, St. Paul, St. Paul's got in the news yesterday, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. Listen, the rabbis, they said, don't touch him. He takes care of the darkies. And so the rabbis are sending the Mossad over, the Mossad. The Mossad's coming over, I'm telling you. Did you hear that? The Mossad's coming. Yeah, they said they're going to machine gun everybody down like Palestinians. See, those are the two directions you go where we create total brain screw. Now, you still have to be ready to fight because you're going to end up you're going to be hosing them down till your barrels are red. Okay, understand that? It's going to be like the Chosin Reservoir. It's going to be like the Chinese crossing the Yalu River. It's going to be like I said, Khartoum, the movie Khartoum, where they're rolling over the walls and they're rolling down the sidewalks and they blah 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 in a wave. But the cool thing is, with better weapons, every bullet will kill 3. And then you just keep shooting until there's nothing but twitching bodies in front of you. Like, what was that other famous movie? Oh, that's right. And then, buddy on the left, first column fire, second column fire, third column fire. Remember, by the time you're done, there are nothing but twitching Africans on the ground. So, if you're going to fight well, fight hard, fight to win. That's just me. In this case, I don't think any of these people realized, I can't believe that this was going to go the way this far the way it is, or that it was going to be them that was going to be affected at all. And that's classic for, the Bolshevik Revolution in every country, wherever they brought it, wherever the Jewish mob has brought it. The Jewish mob brought this. When they did it in Russia, it's just like what you're seeing now. When they went to the other Eastern Bloc countries, they invaded with an army, and then they still did the same thing. Only they already had power, so all they had to do was, then they just raped, killed, pillage, and burn. In China, what you see now is what they did in China. Business owners, guys, you can go to punch in executions in communist China. On of all places, Google. Google's pro-communist. But if you punch it in, what do they show you? People with signs hanging around their necks being pulled out of their businesses, being shot in front of their stores. Sound familiar? Look like something you're seeing right now? And the Jewish mob always does the same cookie-cutter thing. This time around, shoot those bastards first. Yeah, the ones in front are horrible, but you see that one back there chuckling and laughing with the other guy next to him? Yeah, shoot those bastards back there first. Put a rifle squad on them. And then, by the way, after the management's gone, get rid of the rest of them, too. The ones in front of you, the organic sandbags. So anything else? Jump in there, please. Anything going on down your neck of the woods?
No, so far all we've had is drug overdoses and a little bit of graffiti, and that's par for the course.
Dude, get up, man. We have to run from the cops. I don't think he can, man. I think he took too much of the good stuff. What do you mean, man? He's laying there, he's got drool hanging from his face, he's cross-eyed, and he's got a spray can in his hand. I can't figure out how it was so easy for them to indict him. Well, as it is, fascinating. Yeah, somebody showed me some pictures from, I guess, yeah, they'll be back over the wall and into St. Louis, into that neighborhood real quick. I'd be throwing in the razor wire, though, as fast as I could. Somebody should be willing to do some construction. And if not, you better figure out how to do it yourself real fast. So... otherwise, up here, again, I'm looking at the little notation. Yeah, they apparently Antifa tried to, while everybody was busy on the south side of town, apparently they tried to sneak some either local or some idiots out of Ann Arbor into the cemetery on the north side of town to try and attack the angel statuaries that are there. Yeah, those have a lot to do with Black Lives Matter or anything. It was just... These are Fruit Loops, okay? They're just absolute Fruit Loops. So we'll have more information on that either tonight, probably after we get done with the program, unfortunately. But in addition, there should be some other postings in, let's see, might even put something up on the CMM site. We'll see what happens because we do have some of the guys over there. So we'll see if we can post that there somehow. And...
Dad, little feedback there, sorry. You're just not thinking about it logically. I mean, those statues are probably made of granite or something. They look white, so, if they were made out of, say, obsidian or something, it'd be fine. But because it's, granite.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, again, if anybody doesn't know, this is flat as a pancake. We're typical cemeteries anyway. Although we do have a few here that are kind of hilly in our neck of the woods because we're in rolling terrain here. But for the most part, over there in Chelsea, wasn't hard to see from one end to the other, and put a few people on there to secure it, and then a couple of the individuals had the right idea. So we'll see how that works out. Otherwise, let's see, I've got one or two other, I know, looks like everybody else is good, and I guess they did take some video, mostly, of course, of the activity where they rallied at the other park, the Peace Park, but it's not Peace, I think it's spelled another way, but anyway, they ended up not at the original park where they were by the hospital, and they did not go downtown. I think somebody finally went downtown and realized you can't break something up that's already busted up. The police department, some guy ran through the front doors with a pickup truck here not too long ago, and because they've been not wanting to spend money, I don't know why, or couldn't get the work done, the neat thing is the whole front of the police station, which doesn't have that much glass in it, at least not that part, is all plywooded up. So it was kind of defeat the purpose. It was kind of like pre-plywooded, pre-sealed, and there's nothing really to throw a rock at. So for whatever reason, they decided to change location yet again, probably because also it's like, well, the cops that are available would all be right there. Yeah, so instead they went a little farther away from the downtown area. But again, we'll find out more about that. So Chelsea, Michigan, so far, of course, it's not dark yet. They could still go crazy in dark time, as is typically the case. But they got to wait and stay up later, too. I mean, it is 8:37. We still got sunlight outside, which is another issue. And yes, since everybody's asking, well, I can't emphasize this enough. I just had somebody ask about 12-gauge ammo again. One of the places to check, strangely enough, I can't emphasize enough, is Cabela's. Okay, for all you guys out there listening, Cabela's. Go over to Cabela's. And one of the reasons I bring that up is that Cabela's does have pallets of shotgun shells usually, and even though they might have been depleted, and in our area probably are gone, you might be lucky and catch something by happenstance accident. And if that's the case, then we'll figure out where else we can probably put some cash. I mean, people want to spend money. There's just nothing to buy, and for the most part, it's going to continue to stay that way. The factories can't keep up, or they've been deflected from actually. They're actually now they're frustrated. I guess somebody just said here, primers are another problem for some of the companies because everybody's eating up the primers in production. And the primer companies themselves are spitting them, I'm sure, out as quick as they can, but they will not catch up with production with the shortage at this time. Go ahead, caller, jump in there, please.
Yeah, this is Dave from South Lyon. I'm up at my farm, and I went over to Bad Axe, Randy's Hunting Supply, Hunting Shack, and they do have 1,000-round containers of PMC 5.56.
Excellent. So, wait a minute, that's what is it again?
It's Randy's Hunting Shack. It's in Bad Axe, Michigan.
Do they have a web page?
That's a good question.
It's okay.
If I can find it, I'll email you. But it's right in Bad Axe. It's Randy's Hunting Shack.
Randy's Hunting Shack.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Wait. It's been a long time since I've been there. Wait a minute. I just realized. Randy's Hunting Shack. Is that Randy apostrophe S? Randy's Hunting Shack?
Yes.
Let's see if I can do it while maybe you can't. Hunting Shack. Let's see if he actually has. He might have a web page. You never know. Everybody does nowadays, even if they don't do much with it. No, I can't find it that way. I'll have to look. We'll see what we can do.
I'll try to find it, but you should be able to. I would think probably you'd be able to find it with Google or Bing or something like that.
Yeah, I'll search it that way.
It's in downtown Bad Axe, Michigan.
So for everybody out there in that part of the state, go ahead.
It's Randy's Hunting Center, Randy'sHuntingCenter.com.
Hunting. Well, it sounds like, okay, cool. Okay, hold on here.
They still have some AR-15 uppers. They do have AR-15s. Of course, they have gone into stupid things.
Well, again, the market allows it. You know what I mean? That's one of the things. Randy's Hunting Center. Yep, pops up. Very good. Thank you, Tom.
Also, the number is, I'll repeat it 3 times. The number is 989-269-GUNS. Again, it's 989-269-GUNS. Again, the number is 989-269-GUNS, and it's Randy'sHuntingCenter.com.
Yeah, it looks like he's got Walthers in stock, still has some Glocks, and of course, it's on his page, but well, you have to find out by giving him a call at the shop, like you said. Another thing is in ammunition, he's showing that he still has also some 12-gauge in stock for anybody who's looking, who's been calling or emailing from in-state if you're up north there. Again, Federal Standard, Top Gun, Target 12, number 8, which everybody goes, what do I do with number 8? Oh, you blow that down the hallway, and it'll take 6 months for it to fester out of the wound, if they live.
He does also have some primers as well. I think it's mostly large pistol primers, but those are going to be important, too. Everything's going to be important.
Yes.
But the other thing that's kind of interesting, I just saw there, too, they've got, for any of the folks around here that are shooting 450 Bushmaster, they just came out, Hornady just came out with a subsonic round for that. It's 397 grains. So it's running right around 1,100 feet per second, but it's a big thumper.
Yeah, it's a freight train coming at you. See, that's the thing about subsonic. Everybody goes, well, it's slow. Yeah, but when you're looking at hundreds of grains, when it hits you like a doghouse. And in fact, I don't want to get shot with it. I don't want to get shot with anything, but one thing I am familiar with is, like my dad said, the 45-70 may be a lot slower in black powder, but you know what? A whole lot of deer and bear and people have died from that round when it was being made, and it doesn't look like it does any different today than it did when it was first built, so I wouldn't want to get shot by it. Just something to think about there, people, whenever he goes, well, that's an older round, or any of the unique stuff for a subsonic round. Again, it may be all that's left. This is something we have talked about also, that at a certain point, you're going to see the very expensive rifles and shotguns, which is a lot of what you're seeing right now, and you're going to see the odd man-out ammunition, and that progressively will dry up too, just like we saw with the last big push. The only thing about this, and especially where the twits are trying to do the corona beer virus scam again, nobody's going to put up with that. I mean, the idiot sticks that are into the stupid mode are going to stay stupid, but most everybody's pretty well had enough of this nonsense. So one way or another, you're going to be caught between the Antifa Fruit Loops and the cop Fruit Loops, and the cops will be demanding that you kowtow and lick their boots, and because they're in a power trip thing. We're not Antifa. We are not the communists. We're not going to put up with any of this garbage. So one way or another, we're going to be in a fight. And that's where everybody better be ready to deal with the problem. And it won't be all of the cop shops. I would remind everybody when we get into the Second Amendment issue, a whole lot of people have already said or, declared themselves. So all of this is going to settle out or pan out very quickly, A or B, A or B, A or B, A or B. There's no C. It's going to be A or B. You're either there or here. You're with us or with them, and that is all there is to it. Anything else is, you're not friendly if you are going to try to claim that, well, I'm not going to help you. So you'll go right along with whatever the other side does. Well, then you're in the enemy camp. And that's one of the things you all need to remember. Remember, these panty waists are going to be, like I've told everybody a million times, those moderates are what brought communism into power. Communists have simply waddled in, using them as sandbags and interruption and interference for the people who actually could fight well. Well, this time around, we all know the game, so why are we going to fiddle fart with any of their BS? We all know what we're going to have to do. We need to be prepared to do it. Randy's Hunting Center. Randy'sHuntingCenter.com. That's a pretty good webpage, actually, guys. And the phone number, again, is 989-269-GUNS. Just in case, look at your phone. There's letters and numbers. Remember, use the letters. It'll get you the number. And, of course, just to be safe, let's see if I can get the address right here. There we go. It is 721 East Huron Avenue, Bad Axe, Michigan, 48413, and 989-269-4833. 4867. That's 989-269-4867. If you're up north and or anywhere in the state, that's within reasonable driving distance for a lot of you. If you're looking for and you found that pretty much everything is off the shelf where you are, where you're sitting, time to head north, guys. Time to head north. And as a matter of fact, Cabela's, somebody's just saying Cabela's is just like been vacuum swept. The one in Dundee has had a vacuum sweeper run through it. So probably they got some black powder left, and maybe not any black powder, but black powder guns. Just because you have black powder guns doesn't mean they have everything to shoot them, guys. Keep that in mind also. That's another thing we need to remember. Like I said, get the ammo first, find the ammunition. They've got some 223 up there. And somebody's asking here, well, PMC, that's that Korean stuff. I'm going to say again about the Korean PMC. The Korean PMC, first of all, I know why we don't get it. It has nothing to do with being bad product. It has to do with politics. But here's something that always pisses me off. We're letting all the other Turkish crap, they hate us. Turks hate us. They'd like to kill us right now. They'd join in with whoever else to kill us. All these other countries that typically hate our guts, we're letting the stuff come in. China, for instance. Yeah, we let tons of stuff come in from China. Korea is an ally. South Korea is an ally. The ammunition, PMC, comes from our allies in South Korea, but they've restricted them. And that's an example of, again, who's really running your country and what is the real agenda. But the PMC ammo that comes in, here's the difference, like on that 223. If you were to cut the two cases in half, let's say you had a 5.56 NATO U.S. ball round. We're going to pull the bullet, we cut that in half, we look at it, and then we cut the case in half. Beware of the primer, be careful, you don't need a pop squib on you. But you cut the case in half. If you were to look at the thickness of the standard ball U.S. case that we have, what is it, M93 or 193, whatever, whichever one, wouldn't matter which one it is, and the PMC, you would find that as you work to the base of the case, that the wall is thinner on the PMC. It's because of how they extrude and how much material they provide for the extrusion process in the multi-strike system that's used to create a rifle case. Now, that's not a bad thing. Those cases won't fail. However, they're not going to, if you were reloading, and this is why people always kind of do these checks, the standard ball round case that we make in the United States, being a slightly thicker case, especially at the base where the cup and the primer cup is, primer recession point, and the introduction channel for the blast from the cap, that area is thicker, which is reinforces the brass and actually reinforces the chamber to a degree. That sounds weird, but it's true. Thicker material means that there's less stress in the system. And what happens is that the brass expands and contracts more because it's thinner with the PMC. You will get fewer loadings before you have a stress issue with the PMC brass. On the other hand, we're looking at combat ammo. Now, I would hope that you would all police your brass. We don't leave nothing for the dinks. Remember? Platoon. Anyway, you all police your brass, but if you didn't, I'd rather lose PMC than the other. And I wouldn't worry about it that much. I mean, again, we should be recovering everything that we can recover. That doesn't mean crawling around in the backwoods of Michigan and trying to find every last piece of brass. But at some point, you're going to be pretty desperate. Okay, so in advance, the PMC ammunition is good ammo. It reloads very well. It is a heat annealed brass case, boxer prime, non-corrosive, and you can buy PMC in any of the standard mil-spec loads. And you can buy PMC in a lot of civilian loads. So it's a good, as far as the 5.56, 223 category, and anything else. If it comes in, they make a variety. Problem is whether or not you've been able to access any quantity of it. So PMC is good. PMC is good. PMC is good. Don't let anybody badmouth it on you. Okay. The only issue has been something that has been I just explained to you in a long, drawn-out process. What the only difference in the brass is. It will not affect you, especially first-round virgin shoot. When you're getting it from the factory and you put it in your magazine and it gets into the chamber, it's going to operate exactly like your standard U.S. military ball, Federal, Remington, Flinchchester. Doesn't make any difference. It's all going to work. and I recommend it. So if they've got it up there at Randy's, I say clear it off the shelf and let's take it home and get ready for war, because that's what you need to do. Another thing here is watch for a shift in their mouth in Washington, because it's already, again, they've already been pushing the hatred on Mount Rushmore. The cemetery attacks, especially like the ones I was pointing out in the 2-hour block, are not new. This is the same stuff we saw. For those of you who weren't around, I'm going to be your witness. I was not taking drugs. I do not, drink, didn't do anything strange. So I have a real good working memory of that period of time. Back when all this stuff was happening, we had a whole string of cemeteries that were classic pre-1900, with the sandstone or the limestone markers. And the big thing for the communists was to go out in the middle of the night and attack the dead by snapping and breaking tombstones all through this area. And it was boasted by them. Does this sound familiar? We've seen all this garbage before, but it's always the same kind of dumbass, leftist, turds, idiots, shoe-size IQ. We need to be watching. Shoot their ass in the cemetery and leave them. Just don't even tell anybody. Shoot their ass in the cemetery. If they start busting stuff up, we'll put a bullet in them, walk away. I don't know what happened. The dead aren't going to be witnesses, and nobody's going to, again, just don't get out there in the open, stay back in the shadows, and put a bullet up their hind end. That way there will be no other damage done, and the ones that get away might think they don't know when the hand is going to reach out from the dark and put their hairy hind end down for good. Otherwise, this is going to get worse. We've seen all of this before. So like I told you, the next step, again, I cannot emphasize enough, is going to be the Israeli-sponsored, government-sponsored, from elements that are run by the Israelis inside the U.S., bombings in America. The Chinese will pitch in on it. All three of them are in this together with regard to their playing the rubes / playing America. So when the Israelis start their bombings, be prepared. I mean, the Mossad? You mean Mossad? Mossad. Yeah, well, Mossad. MOOSE-SAD. Right? The Mossad. Was it? Well, I don't worry about correct spelling. I could care less about them except we're hunting them. Harder than they think they're hunting us. In fact, we're hunting them. That's like one of those high prize things. Catching those people, that's like you're watching for the areas, remember, there's a certain characteristics that are so easy to pick out. Therefore, remember, when you're hunting them, they believe that air is free, so it should be bigger so they can get in more and take yours. Wow. And look for a few other features that are easy to pick out. And they really stand out once you start, teaching everybody and you're looking, functioning accordingly. So we've got a holiday weekend we're rolling into. It is almost the end of Thursday here for us here. Not for the end of the day, though. There's still a lot to be done. The other thing here real quick, medical supplies. Again, I can't emphasize enough, if you can't find what you need from off the shelf, it is true. The other thing I've been doing is searching for general medical supplies. Yes, there's stuff out there. But the lion's share for the people that are in the know, they've been sucking up all the blowout kits, bandaging, especially burn bandage. Burn bandage dried up quick. A lot of people have pulled that stuff right off the shelf. Those are people who probably have mostly been in the last conflict here most recently, and because they know and have seen, they now appreciate, for instance, tourniquets, and they appreciate burn dressings, because they've seen things, which is why you're seeing this stuff disappear off the shelf. And some people ask me, well, why don't the burn stuff go? Number one, like many other things, like when you guys are dealing in gun parts, some things are unique, and while, everybody has a little bit of them, it's a shallow pool. And the moment that somebody has an interest, because somebody says, Bob, you and I both know we're going to need burn dressings. Oh, yeah, man, oh, hell, well, let me check with so-and-so. And then what they do is everybody finds out where to go, and the guys that are in the know went in and cleaned them out, swept the place out. That's exactly what's going on right now. Because the ones who have fresh in their memory what an IED attack looks like or what small arms fire looks like because they just walked away from it, they have a very great appreciation for stopping the leaks and preventing pain, okay? They really, 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 really appreciate that. Probably in most cases because they also experience some of that special pain themselves, okay? And once you've had that experience, then you fully understand what you need. and you aren't going to hesitate to pick up what you need. So just remember, you've got some interesting competition out there going on, and it's not ignorant. In many cases, it's fully cognizant of the threat and also understands the requirements to stay functional on the battlefield that's opening up here in America with a K. Another thing about that note, water, more water, more water. Sterile water, yes. If you guys have any sources, it's like Tom, if he's listening, Tom, you don't have to answer. But remember, anything you can get, anything they got that they want to put on a pallet and it goes out because they want to get rid of it, take it. And the same is true with any of you who've got any resources, guys, any medical supplies. If it's something that they're getting rid of or somebody, oh, it's outdated, we can't use it, grab it. To ask them, hey, give me a slip, I want to take that stuff home. Get it over to where you can box it, bag it, can it, make it safe from the environment. We're going to need everything we can get our hands on. And it's still not going to be enough. However, it'll get us in the right direction. It'll save lives, which is the most important thing. Now, also, last items, so to speak, if you've topped off a lot of other, unique things. The different types of topical iodine washes of different types, feed mill stores, Tractor Supply typically has them. Any of those, if there's any on the shelf, and there won't be many, usually there's only a couple of, 1 or 2 containers, you might want to invest in those. It wouldn't hurt anyway. You're going to need more iodine in your system. Painting it out is another way for radiological issues. The iodine is priceless no matter what form it is. So iodine would be a priority. Another thing, as I mentioned just a moment ago, is sterile irrigation. There's a number of ways you can get that, but you actually can find that, like at Tractor Supply and the feed mills, they do have, especially for dairy cattle treatment, a number of products that are on the shelf that are either A, shelf-stable fluids without refrigeration, or B, shelf-stable but with refrigeration. Now, that means that you're going to have to keep them on the shelf, someplace where they can stay cool at temperature. Those requirements are all laid down on the packaging. Ideally, you want something that's room temp storable, obviously. Since there's nothing that can really go bad, and you're looking at saline, or if you're looking at any kind of irrigation product, remember, one of its purposes, you get a major wound, you got a tear wound from an explosion or an expansion charge of some kind, whatever it is, even a gunshot wound. If it's close, you want to get all that junk that just got pulled into that wound out, or at least as much of it as you can. It's called debriding. Now, debriding also includes tissue. We're not worried about that right away, but what we do want to do is in the earliest stage, the more crap we can get out of the wound area, the more likely the person is going to survive without infection and therefore without amputations or anything else exciting down the road. But we need to have the material in hand. If you have anybody who is in hospice, if you have anybody who is dealing with stuff at home with medical and the party has passed away, somebody, family member, neighbor, whatever, ask for anything they want to get rid of. We just got a bunch of this stuff 2 days ago from a source down the road. Somebody else did. We knew the person was ill. We didn't know they'd passed away. They had a ton of stuff that needed to be gotten rid of, and we gave it a home. So, again, it's going into the ambulances. It's going to go into the medical unit. But it's the kind of thing that all of you need to be on the watch for now. It's not bad. It's, in fact, otherwise it's going to go to the landfill or get thrown away. The companies can't take the products back. The hospitals can't take the stuff back, because especially with the coronavirus scam right now, guys, none of that is going to go back. So all of it, no matter what it is, 4x4s, tape, sterile fields, dressing of any kind, elasticized dressing, IV fluids, everything, IVs, butterflies, syringes, everything. If it's in the pack, grab it, get it out of there. Just ask them for everything. Whatever it is that you don't want or can't use or you don't feel you have a need for, if you would, if I can have it, it'd be great. Just figure out how you got to have the conversation on that and make it work. Most important is that if they're pro-patriot, they're probably not going to have a problem with it anyway. The only other consideration is they might actually have already figured they're putting it into their stock, depending on what they're doing, and you may not even know. So you have to live with that and roll with it. Otherwise, also multivitamins for the kids and for the adults. Guys, multivitamins, you might be starving, but at least you're relatively healthy, or at least your calorie intake may be lower, but you're still replacing vitamins and minerals. And that's half the battle with regard to keeping the brain from going into brain stupid for lack of calories and nutrients. We're going to make sure we prevent that from happening, okay? So, again, multivitamins, another one of those things on the list. Whatever grade and quality you want to invest in. God bless our republic.